Good morning, happy Tuesday, and welcome to the Wake Up and Dream broadcast. My name is Jamila Chambers, and I am the founder of the Dream Studio, which is a multimedia platform designed to help you create a life without limits. This Wake Up and Dream broadcast is all about keeping your dream, keeping your audacious vision, and keeping your goals right in front of you at the top of your day so you can stay laser focused on what it is you have to accomplish. Before we continue talking about recovering from the storms of life, recovering from your storm, and how most importantly you can keep dreaming when it gets real, I want to make sure that you share this video with all of your friends and family. I want to make sure they are waking up and dreaming as well. So like, share, comment, send your hearts, send your love. I will be engaging with you throughout the day today, and I want to make sure that we stay connected. We have been talking about recovering from life storms and continuing to dream when it gets real. And today we'll be talking about wrestling with your dream. Wrestling with your dream. Often as the storms of life come and you get knocked down and your dreams don't happen the way you thought, or quite frankly, not at all, we become afraid to wrestle with getting back on track. We become afraid to wrestle with what it takes to continue to move forward. So I want you to be in position to fight for and to be willing to wrestle for your dream, and quite frankly, sometimes wrestle with your dream. And that wrestling process is going to require, number one, that you wrestle with your past. The disappointment happened, the failure happened, you made the mistake, the betrayal happened, things didn't happen the way you thought they would. But wrestle your way beyond it. Wrestle your way beyond it. Acknowledge what your role was in it. Acknowledge the part that you played. Acknowledge the lessons you have to learn from it. Acknowledge the people that you allowed to come in your life and you probably shouldn't have. I love the fact that Bishop Jakes taught a message some years ago about betrayal always leaves clues. One of my favorite messages. Betrayal always leaves clues. And the reason being is because we allow people, the people that do betray us, we give them the information, we give them the ammunition, and we give them the access. And when betrayal happens, often it's because we loaded up their gun and we allowed them to have access to us that maybe they shouldn't have. So whatever you're wrestling with in your past, whether you're wrestling with what mom did or didn't do, what dad did or didn't do, what should or shouldn't have happened, whatever that wrestling is with your past, tackle it, wrestle it, fight with it, defeat it. Get it behind you. Get it in a place where you're able to move forward past it, because you're not going to be able to recover from the storm if you're still wrestling with things from your past. The second thing that you're going to have to wrestle with is your negative thoughts, your negative feelings, negative emotions, insecurities, things that you were saying to yourself. Oftentimes we're worried about the enemy on the outside, but the true enemy often is on the inside. That negative self-talk, the things that we repeat to ourselves about ourselves that shape our habits, shape our beliefs, shape the way that we move throughout the world. And so what is it that you were saying to yourself that you need to wrestle to the ground? Are you calling yourself a failure? Are you calling yourself a disappointment? Are you saying that it will never happen for you this time? Are you allowing yourself to rest in some insecurity because something happened negative in your past? Or are you repeating what someone else said about you? Are you internalizing something that doesn't belong to you? Wrestle with your insecurities. Wrestle with that negative self-talk, and wrestle with anything that you're repeating to yourself and internalizing and taking in that doesn't belong to you. And finally, don't be afraid to wrestle with God. Don't be afraid to wrestle with God. I love God's word, and he gives us just example after example about how we can be human in our interactions with him. And Genesis 32 talks about Jacob feeling some kind of way about approaching his brother again after he was super shady and deceptive with his brother in the past, stole his brother's birthright, did him dirty, and now all of a sudden his past is in front of him and he has to meet his brother the very next day and the night before he does. The Bible talks about him wrestling with a man, and then he realizing that that man, in fact, was God or came from God or was a representation of God. And don't be afraid to wrestle with God. Don't be afraid to wrestle with God about the things that you are passionate about, and truly saying to God, God, I know I've done some things in my past. I know I might not be in position based on my action and behavior to get your grace, to get your mercy, to get the things that you have for me, but I'm willing to wrestle with you for it. And just like Jacob, don't be afraid to say, God, I'm not going to let you go until you bless me. I'm not going to give up until you bless me. I'm not going to give up until the very thing you have for me is made manifest in my life. Don't be afraid to do that. And after the storms of life come, and as you're recovering and as you're going after your dreams again, that wrestling with God gets so real, because God, you made a promise to me, and I'm not going to let you go until you bless me. Now, God may have you leave out of that wrestling match with a limp. You may not leave exactly the same way you came. There'll be some things you'll have to change. There'll be a transformation that has to happen in your life. There'll be some things that we'll have to do differently. However, just like with Jacob, God truly is a keeper of his promises. And even if he has to change your name to do it, even if he has to change the way you see yourself, even if he has to make a substantial change in your life, he will truly release what he has for you. And that's a promise, and not a promise from me, but a promise from God. So don't be afraid to wrestle with your past. Don't be afraid to wrestle with any insecurities or negative thoughts. And don't be afraid to wrestle with God, and don't let go until he blesses you. The storms of life come to us all, but don't give up on your dream. Dream as if your life depends on it, because it does. Thank you so very much for watching this video. Again, if you have not already, please share with all of your friends and family on Facebook. I want to make sure that we stay connected. In the meantime, remember that excellence is a lifestyle, not an event. Choose this fantastic Tuesday to be excellent. Until next time, I'm Jamila, and thank you so very much for waking up and dreaming with me.